Hi there. This week we've got some really fun fan stories. We've got some news and some feedback to discuss. My name is Emily Reeves, and this is Frozen Devotion. Well, welcome to Frozen Devotion, everybody. This is a podcast dedicated to all things Hozier. This week, my guest is Sharon, and I'm going to let her pronounce her last name because I tried and I butchered it. So, Sharon, how's it going? How do you pronounce your last name?
I am fine. My last name is Van Witteveen.
Very good. Very good. Yeah, I just couldn't do it. I apologize. But I like all the Hozier stuff you got in your background there.
Yeah, thank you. That's like my little Hozier wall. So
Yeah, it's very cool. So how long have you been a fan of Hozier?
I think since the beginning of 2014, when he played like his first gig outside of Ireland, he played here in Groningen, and it was the first time when I heard him live on radio, and I was sold.
Wow, so you've been with him from the beginning.
Yeah, basically, yeah.
Well, his first gig outside of Ireland, you said? You went to that?
No, I didn't went to that, but
you didn't?
they recorded something, and I heard it on the radio, and that was like the first time I've heard him, and it was like, yeah, that's like a great singer.
Oh, very cool. So where do you live?
In Zevenaar, it's nearby the German border in Holland, so that's yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, thank you very much for coming on. Since you've been a fan for so long and you have so many very cool stories to tell, I'm sure, because you've been to many concerts. Today, what we're going to do is we're going to talk a lot about your stories and the concerts you've been to and the times that you've met him. And so I'm really excited to get into that with you. But before we get into any of that, can you explain a little bit about what you've got behind you and kind of go into a little detail about some of those things on your wall? Because I'm totally intrigued by that.
Yeah, I've like my concert posters and my pictures I made during concerts. And I even left since Lester. I even have his own guitar pick on that wall behind me. So he gave it to me after the gig in Hamburg. So that's like very precious to me. And on the other side, it's like all my set list and concert pictures and stuff like that.
So you've been pretty lucky with getting set lists then.
Yeah. Mert is very nice to me.
So Mert knows you pretty well?
A bit, yeah.
So for those of you who don't know who Mert is Andrew's guitar tech, and he's grown to have quite a bit of a cult following among his fans. And so there's always a lot of yelling and shouting for Mert when he gets introduced on stage or thanked by Andrew, or when he comes out to adjust a guitar or switch guitars, he'll get some cheers and stuff like that. So that's who Mert is. So does Mert always save a set list for you?
No, not always. Sometimes it's like so hard to get one, but I always like the special one. So that's like in Frankfurt with the sunlight on it. That was like a very special one.
Oh, yeah. Yeah, because is that the only place he's played Sunlight, I think?
Yes, yeah, it's the only time he played it live.
Wow, how was that?
It was amazing. I heard him soundcheck Sunlight the day before in Hamburg, and I was waiting outside with my friend, and she was like, "Did you hear that?" And we were like, "Yeah." And the day after he says, "I'm gonna play like a song like You Are My Sunshine," and we were like, "No, he's not going to do that," but he did.
Wow, that is really cool. That is cool. Okay, So before we get into the weeds too much with that story, why don't you start from the beginning? So you heard him on the radio. I assume it was "Take Me to Church," right? Was it "Take Me to Church" that you heard?
To Be Alone.
Oh, yeah, it was "To Be Alone" on the radio.
Yeah.
Wow, that's unusual because even after he gained a lot of popularity and stuff, To Be Alone wasn't really aired on the radio all that much.
No, that's right. But they played like almost his whole set, and that one was also on it. So there was like, I was like, oh wow, that Take Me to Church is amazing, but To Be Alone is like amazing as well. And later when I heard he was sick when he played that set, but he sounded amazing even when he was sick.
Yeah, I've heard people say that even when he's sick, he still gives it his all and even can be even better. I don't know if he goes above and beyond because he's sick, but I've heard that actually if you get to see him live when he's sick, it's actually really good. So that's kind of funny how that works. So they aired the whole set on the radio though.
Yeah.
Okay. All right. I get it now. So you got to hear the whole set and you just fell in love. And so what happened after that? I assume you bought the record. Was the record out at that time? Was the whole album out?
No, not yet. No, that was like September 2014 when the album came out. And I got it for Christmas in 2014. So that was like, but I already started looking for his music on YouTube and things like that. And I knew he was coming to Holland, but I was so afraid to go alone. So when I finally had the guts to go, it was sold out.
Oh, so you weren't able to go? Were you able to get a ticket or no?
No. No, and I bought a secondhand ticket and then I got scammed. So also for the ticket. So, yeah.
That's terrible. Oh, I'm so sorry to hear that. That's terrible. So how long was it then when you finally got to see him live?
It was like 2015 when he played like a big festival here in Holland.
Okay.
And that was like the first time.
Okay. So you saw him at a festival.
I qualified myself before that. Yeah.
Okay. Wow. I bet you were just crushed about that ticket. About being scammed by the ticket.
Yeah, I really was. And a couple months later, I qualified myself at a radio station to win tickets for a show in London. But on the last day, I didn't win the ticket. So that was like a bummer as well.
Oh, my goodness. That's terrible. Yeah. That's terrible. Because, I mean, you are probably one of his earliest fans. I mean, to catch him that soon... It feels like you deserve, if anybody did deserve, to go to those shows. That's a shame. Yeah. Now you mentioned radio. I know you've been on the radio quite a few times talking about Hozier. Yes. So tell me a little bit about that too.
Yeah, I do it a lot. I started with sending like text messages to the radio. You can send messages through the app. And I started to do that, and some DJs noticed like my enthusiasm and everything like that, how excited I was about the music. So I started with one radio station, but now it's like 2 radio stations. They just call me when there's news or they want to have a story. They just text me or call me like, can we have you on the radio? And I'm like, okay.
That is cool. So you're their go-to person. Yeah, that's pretty cool. So how many times have you been on the radio, do you think, talking about Hozier?
Oh, I think it's a lot. I think 10 or 15 times, something like that.
That is cool. That's very cool.
It's like so funny that they also call me like, oh, I think she can call like on his birthday with St. Patrick's Day. They was like, oh, we can call her to interview her on the radio. That was like so funny.
That's cool. They're getting to know you pretty well.
Yeah.
Very cool. Very cool. Well, that's awesome. So the first time you saw him live was the festival, right?
Yeah.
And then I know festivals is kind of hard to meet him, so I assume you weren't able to meet him at that time?
No, we didn't meet him, but we waited at like a fence and he walked by and we called him and he waved at us. So that was like the kind of the first thing, but it was not like a real meeting. Okay,
very cool. Well, that makes sense. He's hard to catch up with at festivals. So that's pretty hard. So, so how about the next concert that you went to? How soon after was that?
That one was like a couple of months later. He did a show in Carré in Amsterdam, like a small theater. Mm-hmm. And the day before, he played at like a Dutch TV show. And on some strange way, we got tickets for that show. And he performed there. So we meet him before he's going to perform there. And they even seated us next to the band, so that was like amazing to sit there.
Did I see pictures of that? Was that like RTE or something like that?
Yeah, RTL.
RTL. Yeah, I think, and he played, was it Jackie and Wilson? Did he play? Is that what they
played Jackie.
Okay,
Yeah.
so I know exactly what you're talking about. That's really cool. So that was after the festival, right? So
that was
after the festival. And then if I recall, you got to meet him after that show, right?
And before the show, when he arrived at the TV show.
Okay, very cool. So how was that interaction? So that was actually your first, like, legit time being able to have a conversation with him. So what was that like?
Yeah, I was like so nervous at the first because I was afraid I couldn't say anything, but I was like, keep talking. And he thought it was like so funny that I was one of the few people who kept talking to him when they met him. And it was like a very awkward handshake, but he was like so nice. So that was like amazing.
Very cool. So, and did you give him a gift of some sort? I thought I remember.
Yes, I gave him. Yeah, I gave him like a basket with like typical Dutch cookies and some chocolate and like a tea mug with some text on it, so that he really likes it. Very
cool. Yeah, I think the best gifts is chocolate for him. Anything chocolate. Yeah. I think he appreciates. So, well, that's really cool. So it sounds like that went off pretty well, being able to talk to him and see that. That would have been really cool to sit right next to the band while they're filming that.
Yeah.
Wow.
It was like amazing because we asked for like, can we please see the band? And they were like, no, we don't have any spaces. And then suddenly she was like, oh, you can sit here. And I was like, okay, that's fine.
Awesome. Very cool. So did they just play that one song then? Just Jackie and Wilson?
Yeah. Yeah, they did Jackie and Wilson and like a little bit of Take Me to Church at the beginning of the show.
Oh, they didn't play the whole song though? Of Take Me to Church?
No, just like... No, just Jackie and Wilson was like the whole song, and Take Me to Church was like a little part of it.
Now, during that time, were they promoting Jackie and Wilson, or what? Because I'm surprised. Usually they do like Take Me to Church, but I don't know. Maybe they were promoting Jackie and Wilson during that time.
Yeah, they were. Yeah, Jackie and Wilson came out in like September, I thought, and this one was like November. But they have to promote like his show in the big show in Amsterdam. So I think that was because he performed over there.
Okay. Very cool. So then a couple days later, you went to the Amsterdam show, right?
Yeah, the next day. The next day. Yeah.
Okay. And what kind of venue was it? Was it, I assume during that time they were pretty small still.
Yeah, it was like sold out in 5 minutes, but it's like a very small venue but it's all seated. And at that time, everybody stayed seated, and only with the last song, he said everybody could stand up, like everybody was running to the stage and everything like that. But it was like a pretty awesome show.
Yeah, that's awesome. Well, that's very cool. So it was a pretty small venue, seated in Amsterdam. Do you know about how many people? Was it like 500,000?
No, I think around 1,000, maybe a little more, but I don't know exactly how many.
Okay.
It is not like a very big venue.
Mm-hmm. And this was at the end of 2015?
Yeah.
Okay. So, and then how much time went by until you got to see him again?
Oh, it was like the next show was like in January 2016, so I think about 2 months.
Okay.
And I was with like this was like the first time I traveled abroad to see his show.
Okay, very cool. Yeah, it's fun. It's fun traveling to go see a show, isn't it?
Yeah, for the first time I was a little bit afraid to go all by myself to another country, but it was like so worth everything. So that was like great.
Yeah, now you're a pro at it, I'm sure.
Yeah, now I am.
Very cool. So in you said January 2016. So before I go there, were you able to meet him in Amsterdam?
Yeah, we met him before the show. We were walking around, and then we meet him it was just accidentally that he just came by and we want to leave. So that was like, just he said hi, he signed some pictures, and that was like fine.
Mm-hmm. So it was kind of a quick meeting.
Yeah.
Okay. Did
He
he
had to sound
recognize
check
you, do you
everything.
think, at that time?
Yeah, I just told him like, don't think we're stalking you. We were just like walking around in here, and he had to laugh about it so hard. And he was like, "Oh, you were at the show yesterday."
Yeah, okay. So he did recognize you at that time already.
Yeah,
Okay. All
yeah,
right. So very early on, he got to know you a little bit
yeah,
anyway. So, okay, very cool. So you met him beforehand by coincidence and then went to the show, and then fast forward, we're at January 2016. And where did you say the show was in January?
Luxembourg.
Okay. All right. And how big of a venue was that? Was that about the same or?
Yeah, I think it was 1,200 or something like that. They make it like so it could be bigger, but they make it smaller because it was not sold out. So they make it like a bit smaller, but it was like a good size.
Okay. All right. Very cool. And then were you able to meet him at that show?
Yeah, I was like, first I was like so tired and I want to leave to the hotel, and but my feeling said just go to the vans where the buses are and it will be fine. And after like 15 minutes, he already came out to say hi. So that was really
Nice.
like a good feeling.
Yeah. Very cool. Were there a lot of people waiting back then for him to
No,
come out?
no, I think only 10 people or something like
10
that. A
people.
really small group of people.
Yeah. If only it was still like that.
Yeah.
I mean, it's great that he's, risen in fame and he's gotten, more known by people. But
Yeah.
it does have its drawbacks too.
Yeah, that's right. Yeah, I totally agree.
Yeah, very cool. So, how many concerts have you been to? How many Hosier concerts?
I'm now 23. That's total.
23. Okay, I think that's the record. So, I was going to go through each one at a time, but I don't even think we're going to have time
That's
to
a
go through
lot.
each one at a time. And it's probably kind of a blur at this point anyway. I mean, I haven't been to 23. I've been to like I think 13 or 14, and they kind of become a blur after a while of what happened where. So I won't ask you too many details, but how about you just maybe give me a few highlights of some of the concerts that you've been to, maybe some of the unique things that have happened, or some of the unique meetings with him that have happened.
Yeah, I think one of the most unique ones was like the one in Dublin after the So Far Sound show. The woman who organized it was like, "Oh, these girls are from Holland, so me and Lisette were allowed to go backstage after it." And also his mom was there, and he was like, so we talked to each other, and she was like, "What's your name?" So I called my name, and she was like, "Oh, I know who you are," and I was really like, "Okay, that's a bit freaky. I don't know."
Yeah, well, maybe she knows you from the Hosier 24/7 Facebook group.
Yeah, it was like a bit like from I never met her, but she knew who I am, and I was like, okay, that's fine.
Yeah,
But
yeah, yeah. Well, that's really cool that she knows who you are and she was able to meet you face to face.
yeah,
That was, I'm sure, quite lovely to be able to meet his mom.
yeah, that was really nice to meet her. Yeah,
Yeah, she seems very sweet, and they did a very good job raising him. So I'm sure they're very nice
yeah,
people.
yeah. She was really nice to meet. She was really, really nice woman.
Very cool. So I've seen some pictures of that gig, and
Yeah,
it looked pretty small. People were just kind of like sitting on the floor, right? Just kind of chilling.
yeah, yeah. You can just take your own blanket. They said in the email, just take your blanket and go sit wherever you want. So I was like, okay, that's like a good spot. And yeah, it was like I think 100 people or something like that. It was really small.
Yeah, and it was supposed to be a surprise where it was actually going to be, right? I mean, you knew it was going to be
Yeah,
in Dublin, but you didn't know exactly where.
no. After you won the contest, you get like an approximate like address, but like a couple of days before the concert, you get the actual address because it was like
Okay.
so secret for everybody to go there.
Yeah, yeah. Wow, that's really cool. That does sound like a unique experience. And
Yeah,
I'm jealous because he sang the song Lakes of Pontchartrain, which is just, I love that song, and I wish he'd play it again so I could get like a recording of it, but we only got like little, maybe 30-second pieces of it. And I was hoping, I know that they said that they were going to release, like they recorded the whole gig and they were going to release it, but they never did. And so I'm sure there's some kind of legal stuff going on there that, there
was something with like the record label or something like that of the management. There was something wrong with it, but they don't want to share it. So I really don't know exactly what, but
yeah, those things happen. I can understand that, but it was a bummer because I was really hoping that would get released, because it was beautiful what he did with that song, The Lakes of Pontchartrain, and just gorgeous. I wanted the whole thing, but I remember I was in New Orleans for a Hozier concert with some friends, Carol, Jean, and Susan Smith, and we were driving, and we were driving like on this really long, I mean, people who are familiar with it would know it's like 20 miles of bridge, and I was like, oh, we got to play that Lakes of Pontchartrain song, because that's where we were driving through there. It's just a gorgeous song, but that's really cool that you got to have that experience for the So Far sounds, and really good pictures there too. You guys were like right in the front, because I saw pictures and you're just sitting there looking at him, just like, oh, there he is right there.
Yeah, it was like amazing. It was like, oh my god, this is like the smallest thing I ever seen, like with the people and everything, and it was like so cool.
Yeah. And when did that? I'm trying to remember when that was. Was that in 2017 or something?
Yeah, September 2017.
Okay, very cool. And we were like in the group. I know the Hozier 24/7 group. We were like, it had been so long since anybody had been to any show of his, so it was really like exciting to see him performing live again, and to see people from the Hozier 24/7 group there and enjoying it. And that was the one where the guy gave his we call them overalls here. Is it called a jumper? What do they call it? A jumper?
Yeah, dungarees.
Huh?
That's dungarees. That's how they call it like here.
Yeah. There's different names. I think it depends on where in the States you are too, because like I know in Minnesota we call them coveralls, but I've heard them called dungarees or whatever. But yeah, the guy took off his dungarees and
that show
and gave it to Hozier. What a cool experience that must have been.
Yeah.
And you got to talk to him for a little while after, right? I mean, it was just kind of like a hangout session afterwards.
Yeah, it was like he was not doing photos or autographs or something, but we got to get backstage. We had a little talk with him about the show and everything, and I was like, I'm gonna be cheeky and just ask him when there will be new music. So you had to laugh about that.
Oh, he didn't give you an answer?
No, he said soonish, but not very soon. But it almost took a year before Nina Quiet Power came out. So
yeah, I remember in 2017 him doing interviews. Like I remember, I think you pronounce his name Egan McDermott. He did an interview, and he said that like the music was, pretty well done. And I thought, oh, this was in like January of 2017, and I thought, oh, the music is done, like it's gonna be any minute. And it took like another over a year after that. It just that was so hard. And I'm wondering with the new music, I know like he's already got some stuff taken care of, like he's got some songs that are actually written, but with him, you never know, because it's like, oh, it could be within the year that we get new music, and we will get new music. But, you know, for a whole album, I'm like, well, you never know with him. I mean, it could be a hot minute before we get an album, or, you know, for the tour to start, which is what I get most excited about, is just going to his shows and stuff like that.
Yeah, me too.
Yeah, so you've traveled quite a bit, and
yes.
And this last tour, you did several shows in a row, right? I'm sure you've done that quite a few times, where you kind of travel with them, just like follow the buses. Sorry, my voice is breaking up. You like follow the buses around.
It was almost like that. It was really like with Sharon. She was like, "Oh, I'll see you tomorrow." And we were like, "Okay, see you tomorrow."
That's cool. Yeah, I'm sure they all know you pretty well by now. You know.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah.
Yeah, very cool. Awesome. Well, how about you got any other good stories, or I'm sure you got tons of stories.
Yeah, the Lisbon was great because he also recognized me. He was with Caroline Henry. Okay. And she was like talking to him like, yeah, but she was in Dublin. And he was like, yeah, I know she was there because she's always there. And I was really looking like, okay, it's a bit awkward almost.
That's funny. Yeah, they know you well by now. And you this last time you brought a jean jacket, right? And he signed it at every show. So how many signatures are on that?
There are 8 now. I really hope to get London on it, but it doesn't work out in London, so we still need to do that another time.
Yeah. So did he put the location when he signed it?
Yeah, he did put the location and the date and his signature under it. So that's like everything that's on the jacket right now.
Okay.
And he really thought it was like a really nice idea to make it my own jacket. So I told him like it was like a group idea. Everybody helped me with it. So there was really love the fans.
That's cool. That's awesome. Well, very cool. So are you going to bring the jacket from now on every time you go?
No, only the next time I will bring it to get the London date on it as well. But then it's like finished for this tour. And then it's like I'm going to hang it and then it's finished. Maybe another jacket for another tour. But I have to see that.
Maybe one jacket per tour. That's awesome. Well, very cool. That's so cool that you got to go to all those shows, and you think he can't get any better with his performances, and then he continues to get better, which is quite amazing. You think he'd peak at some point, but the more shows you go to, the more he continues to wow you, you know.
Yeah, that really is.
So
when I saw him first time, he was like almost shy or something like that, and now he's really like taking the whole stage and going into the crowd and everything like that. So it's like such a big change in those couple of years.
Totally. And I watched an interview with him about performing for Lollapalooza Berlin, about him performing in front of like 60,000 people. And he was like, yeah, you know, you still get jitters, but it seems like he's fine with that now. Like 60,000 people is like no big deal. So I don't know how anybody could do that. I guess you get used to it. I guess you could get used to almost anything. So, you know, but that's pretty impressive.
Yeah, that really is.
Yeah. Were you at Lollapalooza in Berlin?
Yeah. Yeah, I won tickets for special tickets to get front row. So that was really lucky with that because we arrived like 2 hours before he was going to perform. And after Rita already, whole section just went empty. So we could just go in there and put front row. We didn't expect that because it was like so big, like so many people. But it was like,
wow, that is cool. That is really cool. I know those, it's like a VIP section kind of thing.
Yeah, like experience /VIP. They have like a special section front row. Yeah. And you can only enter that with like a special wristband. So that was like pretty awesome to be there.
Oh, that is cool. That is cool. Well, I could talk to you forever about your experiences, but we'll go ahead and we'll move on. We're going to take a quick break, and then we'll be back in a minute. There's a lot of costs associated with producing a podcast. Between hosting a website, buying equipment, and paying for file storage, we quickly realized that maybe it would be a good idea if we started asking for help. If you would like to help support us, visit hozier247.blog/join. You'll get exclusive rewards such as access to the video podcast and watch party, an invitation to our monthly call-in show, and quarterly bonus content. At $3 a month for the groupie plan and $6 a month for the fanatic plan, we're not looking to get rich. We're just trying to avoid going broke. So visit hozier247.blog/join if you would like to help support us. Thanks to everyone who has already contributed, and thank you to everyone who is listening to the podcast. We appreciate your support. So we're back. Thanks for coming back with us, and we're going to talk about some Hozier news right now. So we have new music, which is super exciting. It's called The Bones with Maren Morris. The Bones was actually a song that she had released previously, but in this new version, Hozier is featured on it. I'm sure you've all listened to it by now. If you're watching this podcast, I'm sure you've listened to it. Sharon, what do you think about the song?
Yeah, I think it's really poppy, but at the same time, the lyrics are very good. Mm-hmm. And their voices really sound so good together. It's like, I don't know what it is, but there's something with the two voices that they connect. I don't know what it is.
Yeah, they do sound very good together, and I agree. It's very poppy. I wasn't expecting it to be that much pop, and I'm not a huge fan of pop music. So, I mean, there's some pop songs I like, but for the most part, I'm not a fan of pop music. But this was really good, and you can kind of tell it's not his song because it doesn't feel Hozier, you know?
Yeah.
But it's so good, and the lyrics are amazing, and I actually have a little snip from Maren Morris describing the song, so I'm going to go ahead and play that for you right now.
I wrote The Bones with Jimmy Robbins and Laura Belts, and it was a day when I was writing in Nashville, and Laura brought the title The Bones, and she's always so good at bringing stuff like that to the table, and it's always like a weird title, and that's why she and I get along so well, is I'm willing to get weird, but she also knows how to make it so sentimental and real life, and we just started talking about how gracious we were with our relationships at the time, and I was really feeling so solidified in my relationship with my then fiance and now husband. She was feeling so amazing with her marriage and her children, and Jimmy just found out that his wife was pregnant. It was just like we all were super solid with our partners, and so writing this song about like the bones of a house, even if a hurricane comes, a storm, if the wolves come, the structure of the house is still standing, the foundation is still there. So you could rip it down to the studs, and the foundation of this relationship isn't going anywhere.
The house don't fall when my bones are good.
Yeah, so the lyrics are amazing. I think it's such a great idea for a song. It's to have a relationship that's so strong. There's a lot of relationship songs that are kind of like the opposite, where things are like in turmoil or things are going kind of rough. So it's kind of nice to hear a song about solid relationships.
Yeah.
It's very cool. And when his voice comes in, it I don't know how to describe it. It feels like home, for him singing this song. It fits very well. You can kind of tell it's not a Hozier song, but his voice in it is amazing, and it's fantastic. I love it. So
Yeah, they would have a connection with the voices or something like that.
yeah, they're just it's just a really good duet. I got something from Rolling Stone here, where Marin is talking about Hozier, and it says, "When I first heard Like Real People Do, I think I could actually hear my heart breaking, and then immediately felt songwriter envy that I didn't write it first." Marin said of how she feels about her new duet partner. Hozier's soul and vulnerability is so arresting and fits so well with the foundational theme of my song, The Bones. I feel so grateful to have him on it. It sounds like the feeling is mutual for the alt-rocker. Something of love's enduring nature really comes through on The Bones. It's a gorgeous song. I was delighted to be asked to sing with the Maren Morris on the track, Hozier said, adding, "She is such a wonderful artist." Now, I wasn't familiar with Maren Morris before this came out. Were you?
No, I didn't know her. I only know her when he played that song. I was looking for her. I was like, oh, I didn't know that, but it's not exactly my music. So I think that's the thing.
Yeah. So she's kind of like a country / Americana artist, and I wasn't familiar with any of her work. I did listen to some of her other stuff, and I'm like a fan of Americana music anyway. Like Suzanne Santos, Americana, Shaky Graves. I love Shaky Graves, and so she kind of fit into that category a little bit with her other music. So I really liked what I heard from her, and it's also kind of interesting how much Andrew is surrounding himself with country / Americana artists, because you got, I think Jade Bird falls into that category, Suzanne Santo, Emily Kohavi with Wild Eyes. It's a very Americana sound. His backup singers are all like Nashville-based country singers. And so I'm wondering if some of that is going to come through on the next album. Like maybe he's kind of starting to feel this kind of roots kind of feel. And I tweeted Suzanne saying that he needs to start bringing some banjo into his music. Yeah.
I think that would be great.
Oh, it totally would. And I love the banjo. I think it's such a unique sounding instrument. And for me, I don't know about for other people, but there's like a nostalgic feel to a banjo. Like it really feels like rootsy, like I can't really describe it other than that. I just really love it. And so I don't know if he's gonna go in that direction. Of course, this was with a country artist, and it feels very pop. But I don't know. He's got such a big, broad genre. I mean, multiple genres. So I'm just wondering if that's going to come through a little bit in his next album, being as he's been surrounded so much by the Americana style or the country style music. I'm kind of hoping there's at least one or two that's got some twang in it.
It would be nice. That would be really nice. Yeah.
Yeah. So do you like that kind of style as well?
Yeah, I like the banjo sound. The same thing with like the bohemian guitar. They also have like that authentic style or something like that, like totally different than all the other guitars. So I think that would be very nice if he would play that on the new record.
Yeah, I think so too. There's something really great and kind of like raw about that style. And I like that he brought in the violin as well.
Yeah.
But it sounds really good. So yeah, so we'll see what the next album looks like. And there's a couple other new songs too that have not been released, but he played them live. So one is called The Love Of, and one is called Jackboot Jump. And these are supposed to be released before the end of the year, rumor has it. I think he discussed that a little bit with the crowd. And there was a little bit of debate. The song The Love Of, whether that was the entire song or if that was just what was on the set list. But if you go to the BMI repertoire, you can see his music. And I don't know if everybody's done this before, but if you go to repertoire.bmi.com, you can see a list of his songs that are, I don't know if you'd say they're licensed. I'm not sure what you would say. It was maybe copyrighted or something. And Love Of is on there. So I think that's the entire name of the song. And then what's strange is that Jack Boot Jump is not on there, which I would have thought would have been on there. But
yeah.
And there's songs that have not been released, song titles. Let me look on there real quick. I've got and The Love Of has two different, it says version 1 and version 2, or Love Of, and then there's Love Of version 2. And there's like Moonlight, there's Optimist, Pagliacci is in town. So there's some that, you can see the titles, but they have not been released. So I don't know if they're, going to be released at sometime soon, or they're going to be on. Some of these have been on there for a while, so I'm not sure if they're going to be ever released or what. But it's kind of interesting to be able to go in there and look at all the different songs. But I'm excited about the new music coming out before the end of the year. So I don't know what that means in terms of when a album will come out. What's your prediction? I want to get you on record to give me a prediction for when
really
the next album will come out.
Yeah, he said the EP will be out before Christmas, he said, if I'm right.
The whole album or just the 2 songs?
No, the EP. Just a couple of songs, like Nina Crowd Power EP. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
What about
yeah.
What about a whole album? When do you think that will be out?
That's really difficult because he also needs his rest. So I'm really okay, I really want new music, but he also needs to think about himself. So it would be nice if it would be like the end of 2020, but I don't know. That's very optimistic.
Yeah, because he's been on the road for how long? 2 years?
Yeah, like he started with like the Nina Crowd Power EP.
Yeah.
And he started to do America, Europe. And then Wasteland Baby came out and he started the whole thing again with America, Europe, and now back to America. So I think, it's almost 2 years.
Yeah, that's a long time.
1.5 years.
Long time to be on the road. So I don't know if he's going to wait. I don't know how these things work these days. It used to be that they would just release an album. Now they release sometimes just one song. So you think maybe he's going to release the EP and then wait a long time before releasing an entire album?
Yeah, maybe. It's really difficult to say because I really think, he needs his rest and take some time off. But maybe now is the right time to get everything out. But it's difficult.
Well, it would be weird for him to drop a whole album and not tour after.
Yeah.
So who knows? Who knows what's going to happen? This is going to be interesting. Yeah. Okay, and then in other news, it looks like we have a little bit of some competition with a podcast because Andrew started a podcast, which is super cool. It's Cry Power with Hozier, and it looks like he teamed up with Global Citizen to do this podcast. and I wasn't very familiar with Global Citizen, so I had to kind of familiarize myself with it. And so I went on their website. It says, our mission is to build a movement of 100 million action-taking global citizens to help achieve our vision of ending extreme poverty by 2030. Global Citizen is a movement of engaged citizens who are using their collective voice to end extreme poverty by 2030. On our platform, global citizens learn about the systemic causes of extreme poverty, take action on those issues, and earn rewards for their actions as part of a global community committed to lasting change. Sounds like a really good cause. I mean, it's amazing to try to end extreme poverty by 2030. That's an amazing and noble goal. So it's very cool that he teamed up with Global Citizen to do this. And I think the main focus of the podcast, if for those of you who haven't heard it already, is he's talking about people who are taking action to make a difference in the world, basically. So he had Annie Lennox on September 30th. And that one was about feminism. He had Bono on, and that just on the 7th came out. I have not had a chance to listen to that yet. But I know Bono, with his One campaign, has made a huge difference with the AIDS epidemic in Africa. I assume this is what is going to be talked about a lot in the podcast. Sharon, did you listen to the one with Bono yet?
Yes, but not the whole thing, but I'm almost finished. But it's like like the first one, gender equality is something like that used to be coming back like every time. So I think that's really important cause to spend some attention on it.
Yeah. Well, the Annie Lennox one was amazing. They talked a lot about feminism. And just as a global issue, I think sometimes we can get so caught up in what's going in our own countries or our own sphere of awareness. But just understanding that, looking at it as a global issue, there's just so much change that still needs to happen. We've got a long way to go with these issues. And so it was really amazing to hear about that, and I look forward to listening to the one with Bono. And then those came out on a week apart on a Monday. So I'm wondering if they're going to come out every Monday.
It looks like it.
Which is pretty good because this comes out once a month and it's a lot of work. But I have a feeling he probably pre-recorded a lot of these as well. And then, so still to come, we've got Marcus Mumford. Now, I'm not really aware with anything he's been doing just in terms of social issues. Are you aware of what he's going to talk about?
Oh, no, I really don't know. I'm not following around that. No.
Yeah, I have no idea. Yeah. And then he's going to have Mavis Staples on, which I assume they're going to talk a lot about the civil rights movement. She's very involved with that. So that's going to be really cool to hear. I can't wait to listen to that. So it's really cool that he's doing this, which, it's always nerve-wracking when somebody kind of gets out of their lane and does something different, because you're like, oh, this could go this could go very badly, or this could go really well. I think it's going really well. I'm really excited about it. I think he's very good at talking to people, and it's just like being able to sit in on a conversation between two very interesting people. And so it's very good. I think it's working out really well. And so I'm excited. I don't know, have you heard anything about if they're going to go past Mavis, or is this just a 4-part series and then they're going to be done? Have you heard anything?
No, I thought it was like more, but I don't know for sure. I thought they pronounced it in like the last episode with Bono, I thought there were like more issues they're going to talk about, but I don't know exactly with who.
Okay. Well, we'll just have to keep our
Yeah.
ears open and see how that goes. But I know it's really important to Andrew to not only, get informed about issues, but to actually take steps and do something. It's not the waking, it's the rising, right? So I think this is just another way for Andrew to be able to take action on some of this stuff. And, bringing awareness to these issues is part of that. And I know Global Citizen, I know he encourages people to go to the Global Citizen website and sign up, and there's opportunities there to serve and make a difference and stuff. So that's pretty cool. It's very cool. So it's exciting to think that, we're not the only Hozier podcast anymore. And if we have to have competition, this is the best kind of competition. Yeah. And I know they're going to get more foot traffic and more visibility on that end. But you know what? It's cool. I'm excited for it. I enjoyed listening to the Annie Lennox one, so I'm really excited about the ones that are to come. I think they're going to be really entertaining. So it'll be great.
Yeah, it's good. Yeah, it's like a serious topic, but also with a lot of humor during the conversations, and it's like very easy listening to it. So they did a great job with the podcast.
Oh, absolutely.
Yeah,
very good, very easy to listen to. So, okay, and then it looks like in terms of the tour, they're on a little bit of a break right now. So the next show isn't until the 17th. And today is the 9th as we're recording this. And it looks like it's going to start, kind of like a Western United States tour. So the first show will be in Portland. And that's kind of an interesting show because it's actually a like an arena. It's called the Moda Center, but it's in the Theater of the Clouds. So actually so the Moda Center has a capacity of 19,393 for basketball. But it also says for smaller, more intimate events, Moda Center can be placed into a configuration known as the Theater of the Clouds. This configuration, part of a trend of large arenas having smaller theater configurations, places the stage at center court and utilizes the western side of the arena. Custom floor-to-ceiling theater curtains are draped at the edges of the seating area, creating a more intimate setting. The Theater of the Clouds configuration seats 6,500. So that one, it sounds like that's what they're going to do, and it'll be a 6,500 capacity show. I believe that's sold out. Let me look. Yes, that's sold out. So, which is pretty good. 6,500 sold out. That's pretty good size. And then they'll be in Vancouver, which is the Doug Mitchell Thunderbird Sports Center, and that is 8,000, and that is also sold out. So,
oh wow,
that I assume they're going to do the full 8,000 because I haven't heard that there's any kind of strange configuration going on there or not, but that's pretty cool. And then he's going to be in Seattle, which I'm excited about because I'm going to the Seattle show. And that's a 5,000 capacity. I believe that's general admission, so we're going to have to get there very early to get a good spot. And then he'll be Sacramento on the 21st of October. That's a 4,000 capacity. And then October 22nd is Berkeley. That will be the Greek Theater, which I think is outdoors. I'm not sure about that, but I think it's outdoors. I could be wrong, but that's 5,870 capacity. And then, let's see, Santa Barbara, 4,562. Los Angeles, 5870, San Diego, 4600, Phoenix, which I'll also be at, is 5,000. Albuquerque, which I'll be at, is only 2,300, so I'm excited about that. The Albuquerque show is actually going to be seated, and I have literally front and center. So I'm really excited about that.
Oh, that's great. Yeah.
And I have no idea how I got those seats, because I actually, when multiple places go on sale at the same time and you kind of have to choose which one you're going to go for first. So I went for Phoenix first. And then I went back to get Albuquerque. So it was good, maybe 10 minutes after tickets went on sale, where I actually went to the Albuquerque Ticketmaster and looked for seats. And there was one single seat, front and center, and I nabbed it up. Maybe it's because I was only getting one ticket.
Yeah,
but,
maybe that's...
it was... like I totally lucked out, so I'm really excited about that. And that's going to be smaller, 2,300. And then El Paso will be on the 31st on Halloween, so we'll see if they come out in costume. And that's only 2,500 capacity too. But for the most part, I mean, it's averaging about 5,000. Most of these places are about 5,000 capacity. Yeah. So, and then that'll be the end of October for them. So it's another leg, and then they'll be up in Chicago, I believe, in November. Let me look here real quick. Yeah, Chicago Theater is after that. So, yeah, I'm excited because I get to go to Seattle, Albuquerque, and El Paso. So, and then that's likely all that will be until the next tour starts. So have you been getting any post-concert depression after this last tour?
Yes, I really like. I want to go to like Dublin, but I'm still hesitating to go. But it's all sold out already, so I really have to see.
Yeah.
But I really miss it now after all those shows.
Yeah, this last leg you did like quite a few in a row. How many did you do in a row?
There were like 8 in a row, and then 2 weeks later it was like London for the first night.
Wow, 8 in a row. That's a lot together. That's awesome. I bet that was totally fun.
Yeah, it was. Sometimes it was exhausting, but it was like awesome.
Yeah. Were a lot of those seated, or were a lot of those standing?
No, there was only one. The one in Vienna was seated.
Mm-hmm.
And the one in London was seated. Well, like the first 2 nights it was seated in London.
Mm-hmm.
Those were the only. The rest was all general admission, so standing.
A lot of standing for 8 shows, most standing. That's hard on your feet. I know when we did we called it the midlife crisis road trip is what we called it. And we did, I think it was 7 shows. But, it was a good mix of standing and sitting. But we're no spring chickens, so it was hard. But loved every minute of it, totally worth it. But it's hard, You wake up the next morning and you're like, oh my gosh. We better get on the road. Oh, so fun though. We're gonna try to do something like that every tour. Every time he drops an album and he does a major tour, we want to do, something like that where we, kind of do multiple shows in a row and just kind of go on a little road trip, because it's so fun. It's just, I encourage anybody. Just start saving now. You've got plenty of time. Trust me, he's going to take probably a very long time. I know he says it's not going to take as long, but at this point, I don't trust him. I think it's going to take a long time. And so just start saving now. I mean, I still am doing like side gigs, like, delivering food. That all goes into my concert stash. I've got a little fund to have fun with, and you got plenty of time to save up for it. You could save a lot of money before his next album drops, and you'll be able to just have a trip of a lifetime. It's so worth it. It's so fun. So I strongly recommend that to anybody.
Even my friend who all took the pictures during the last tour, she was like, "Oh, I really want to do this again." So she was really like exciting about it. It was like she saw him like for the first time in Cologne last tour.
Yeah.
And then she was sold. And she said, "I'm gonna take the whole tour with you."
That's awesome. It is a bit addictive, isn't it? Like, you know,
Yeah,
you go to
it
one
is.
and it's just not enough. And in fact, I started doing other concerts too. Like, on Monday, I'm going to see Tyler Childers' concert, which is cool. And then the day I get back to Phoenix from Seattle, Suzanne Santo is playing in Phoenix. So I'm going to that as well. You saw Suzanne Santo, right?
Yeah, I saw her after the 8 gigs in the 11 days. We came back on like Thursday, and on Friday she played in Amsterdam, so we went to see her. So I told her, like, I miss your stamping on stage.
That's cool. So how was her concert?
Yeah, she was amazing. She had another band now in Europe because she couldn't fly over the whole band for the European leg.
Right.
But she was amazing. I talked a bit with her after the show,
Mm-hmm.
and she told me she learned a lot from Emily, and Emily had to shadow her to learn all the routines and all the songs.
Mm.
And she told me she learned a lot from Emily also.
Really?
So that was
Wow.
really nice to hear. Yeah.
That is cool. That is very cool. Yeah. Well, I was wondering about, there's some conflicts with Emily's schedule and the Hozier tour. Now, there's still some upcoming, but the one conflict that was in September, the Wild Eyes must have canceled their show because Emily was at that show. I was kind of wondering if Suzanne was going to step in, but it looks like my prediction is that Emily is just going to remain with her commitment with Hozier, and they must be canceling those Wild Eyes shows, is my guess. So, but yeah, that's so cool. I'm excited to see Suzanne Santo. She's amazing. Her writing is amazing. Her music is amazing. First time I saw them was with Honey Honey at the San Francisco Bread and Roses is when Andrew met Suzanne Santo. And I just loved Honey Honey as well. So it's really good. Okay, and then the last bit of news I wanted to talk about is the Mert t-shirts. They're getting kind of popular. And I'm wearing mine. Here, I'll show you. I'm here for Mert. So we talked a little bit about Mert earlier, how he's Andrew's guitar tech. And they're getting kind of popular, which is just so fun for me to watch this thing that I created just kind of morph. It's super cool. So people have been ordering them, and people have been wearing them to the shows. There's one gal mentioned that she was in the front wearing her "I'm Here for Mert" shirt, and when Andrew was thanking Mert and stuff like that, he pointed at her and gave 2 thumbs up. And it's my understanding that the crew bought shirts, so the whole crew has them, which is really funny. And also, there have been groups of people, I don't know where, maybe London, where they had a group where the group was wearing the shirt and they got a picture with Mert and Andrew in the picture.
Yeah, it was Manchester.
Was it Manchester? So
I think it was Manchester.
Yeah, so I'm super excited about these Mert shirts. But I wanted to talk about them for a little bit because they're still for sale, and 100% of the proceeds go to the ISPCC, which is one of the places that Andrew likes to contribute to. It's Irish Society for Prevention of Cruelty to Children. It says it's Ireland's national child protection charity. Our mission is to make the protection of children everyone's priority. The ISPCC provides a range of services directly to children and families and advocates for change to enhance the lives of children in Ireland. It is funded through fundraising and through funding provided by government agencies for the delivery of specified services. So it's a really worthy cause. If you want to donate to them directly, you could go to ispcc.ie, or if you would like to buy a I'm Here for Merch shirt, 100% of that goes to the ISPCC, so I'll drop a link in the video. Or you know what, I might just go ahead and mention it because not everybody's going to be able to get the video. So let me look at what the link is. 1 second here. Okay, so it looks like it's Jane Dummy, which is a dummy account I created, but it's GANEDUMMIE, janedummy.redbubble.com. So if you want to buy one of those shirts, they're still available. And like I said, it's for a worthy cause. So that's about it. We got some feedback to discuss from the Hosier 24/7 Facebook group. So I asked people if they wanted to discuss either the Bones or the Cry Power podcast. Susan Smith said, I have Bones feedback. I knew I enjoyed it when I first heard it, but it actually lifted my spirits last night after a horrible day. My son's health was yesterday. And you know how it is when your kids aren't doing great and we feel helpless and can't fix it. So it's pretty amazing that anything lifted my mood, but it did. Very grateful. And then she says it's a really great song and his voice, OMG, beautiful. And then Latoya Gale said, regarding the Bones, I would love to hear a version with just his take on it. That'd be cool. That'd be nice to hear.
Yeah, really.
Hear, just him singing the whole thing. And then she says regarding podcasts, education for girls is something I've always believed in. One way I show support is through monthly donations to the Because I Am a Girl campaign run by Plan International Canada. Just an option for anyone interested in supporting this cause. On a more personal level, I try my best to encourage and nurture my nieces when they started showing an interest in STEM. Thanks. So I'm wondering if that was more for the Bono episode, because I don't think they mentioned that with Annie Lennox as much, although it was talking about feminism. But yeah, that's very cool. And then Diane Tappy said, I love the mix of their voices together. Andrew's gave hers a missing depth. The Andrew with Bono was so intelligent, so full of mutual respect, so coherent, addressing world issues, a delight. And Beth Dean said, wow, listen to the podcast with Bono driving to the shore to catch a sunrise and had to pull over. Intense because at 13, heard my first YouTube lyrics and could not breathe for a bit. Flash forward to late 40s, and same exact inability to breathe when Take Me to Church came out of my car radio. There are great entertaining artists, but the voices and lyrics of these two people through the years till now are in my DNA. And at 52, if I only knew then what I know now. Being at the album release was the most amazing moment in time. That would be cool to be at that. I think she may be talking about that YouTube album release party. Was that YouTube? I think that was YouTube, wasn't it?
Yeah, I think so, yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember now. And then Latoya Gale says, regarding podcasts, I think Bono describing his reaction to hearing Take Me to Church is everything, so visceral. I've loved you two forever. There are songs that are a part of my soul. The mutual respect and admiration between Hozier and his guests are a testament to his talent, his intellect, his thoughtfulness, his consciousness, and his grace. And then Amber Nicole Morin, I think I'm pronouncing that right. I'm in love with the Bones. I didn't think I'd like it at first, but the lyrics are really good and his voice goes very well with the song. I'm also loving the podcast. The conversations are very engaging. I could actually listen to it all day. And then Carrie McElfresh says, I love the Bones. Being a Hozier fan has opened my world wide open. Because of his everything, lyrics, activism, support for other artists, greeting and hugging fans after concerts, etc. I have been open to new ideas. He has inspired me to be a better person. The podcasts are incredibly inspiring. I wish they were broadcast in place of the nightly news. Yeah, that'd be nice. Okay, so that's it for our feedback. Is there anything else you wanted to add before we wrap this up?
No, I think we have everything.
Awesome. Well,
I'm right here.
Thank you very much for coming on the podcast. It's been very nice to get to know you better. Hopefully someday we'll be able to meet up at an actual concert. That would be really
that would be
awesome.
nice. Yeah.
I would love to go over on that side of the pond to hit some shows. That would be great. Thank you everyone who's a paid supporter to the podcast and to all the listeners. If you'd like to get access to the video version of this podcast or other exclusive content, go to hozier247.blog/join. And if you want to leave us some feedback, there's a couple different ways to do it. You could join, if you're not already a member, the Hozier 24/7 Facebook group. And I always ask for feedback there before I record. You can also email us. You can send us an email or voice memo at frozendevotion@gmail.com. You can leave us a voicemail by calling us at 602-633-4903. And you can also find me on YouTube. I'm Emma Byrne on YouTube if you want to subscribe to that as well. So thank you, everybody, and thank you for coming on, Sharon. It was just very nice to talk to you. You're very easy to get along with, and you got a lot of good stories, so it's very cool.
Yeah.
So I appreciate you coming on, and you're welcome to come back anytime. So
yeah, it was a pleasure.
Awesome. All right. Well, thanks, everybody, and we will see you in November.